The Yosha name in the greater Indianapolis area has to be the most premier name in Indianapolis.
Buddy has been legendary for having a fabulous practice for, is it now 60 years?
He's kind, he's generous, and he's very loyal.
Everybody who knows Buddy will say he's the first one to write the check for this or that, a charity, a political campaign.
Buddy's always been my hero. I wrote him a letter when I was in high school that I still have in my desk, where I said, "You're the best person I've ever met. You are my hero." I said that in the letter, "You are my hero."
Buddy is a mentor. Not only is he compassionate, but he's also extremely smart.
Buddy was successful from day one.
I met a lot of people in my life, but when you look back at your life and you say, how did you get to where you were at? In the law specter of my life, there was no one more important than Buddy Yosha.
I was a junior in college and I was walking down the street and this convertible pulled up next to me and I looked in, there was a guy with his legs crossed driving the car. And he says, "Hey, are you Bill Hurst?" And I said, "Yeah." He says, "Well, we have a good friend and I understand I should be friends with you." And I said, "Who are you?" And he says, "I'm Buddy Yosha." So I got in his car and never got out from then on.
I interview with Marvin and Sid Eskenazi and Buddy, and we all go to lunch. We're sitting around talking and Buddy says, "So, how much money you want to be making in 5 years?" And no one had ever asked me a question about money before. I was totally unprepared. "Well, I'd kind of like to be making $35,000. And Buddy said, "That's the wrong answer." And I said, "What?" He goes, "I don't want anybody working for me that wants to make $35,000. You should have said you want to make $100,000. I want a lawyer who works for me that wants to make $100,000. And I said, "Okay, I want to make $100,000. He goes, "Too late."
He gave me the opportunity to be a lawyer and be a good lawyer and be a great lawyer. He gave me cases that were tough and said, just go try it. He backed me with monetary support during that time. I was an associate. I got paid by salary, later to become his partner. And I can just tell you, for someone to give you carte blanche in the courtroom, which I wanted to be in, I thought if I got my chance, I'll be good there.
He and I grew up as lawyers together. We didn't have a mentor. We were the oldest lawyers in our firm and we were babies. We could only learn by making mistakes, and we made them all together and we learned together.
My interest in the law has everything to do with Buddy. I saw at a very young age, since I can remember, my dad having a great deal of empathy for others. I saw the impact he had on so many others' lives, and everyone admired him. It inspired me early in my life, if football didn't work out, that I was going to be as good of a trial lawyer as Buddy Yosha or better.
To me, Buddy is the GOAT. And many, many times when I would assist attorneys in trial, I would think of past cases that I had with Buddy. It's almost like WWBD, what would Buddy do? You can sit and think about it, okay, now Buddy would apply this, Buddy would apply this, Buddy would research this, you know, and it was just a lot of teachings that I respected from him.
I thought Buddy was a master at handling expert witnesses. And I remember, you know, one time we were working on a neurosurgeon outline and we were, you know, going on the 10th draft, and I'm new and I'm learning and I'm getting the hang of it, and he was getting frustrated with me, you know. He's like, this is not sequenced right. It's, you know, got to be sequenced right. This is why. And finally, he pulled up a chair and he told me to sit down. And I've only known him for about a year at the time. And I sat right next to him at his desk, and he just taught me from start to finish on how to handle experts. And his methods I still use today. I used it yesterday on a spinal surgeon. Best education I could have ever gotten.
Yeah, he's been a good friend and a mentor, and I think he's been a mentor to a lot of attorneys here in Indianapolis.
I went to a restaurant and I had to wait in the bar. And I'm sitting there and there's these two young guys in front of me. And I hear this one say, now when you come to this town, says you need to get a good tax accountant, here's where you go. And here's where you go for this, and here's where you go for that. When you need a lawyer, you call Buddy Yosha. And so I said, hey, Bud, I said, you ever hear of Bill Hurst? And he goes, yeah, I've heard of him, but nobody hires him. They all hire Yosha.
I'm open about how big of shoes I have to fill. I take pride in the fact that my dad has told me on many occasions, especially after our recent jury trial, that I'm extremely proud of you, Brandon. You are an amazing lawyer.
When you think of Yosha Law, you think of Buddy Yosha and how Buddy started the firm, and not only starting the firm, but all the people that he's taught along the way that have become great attorneys. And the Yosha name is second to none.